Okay, from time to time, I keep seeing comments from people who claim that the Iraqi dinar is a scam. I call these people the naysayers, is what I call them. And after doing a little poking and prodding of these naysayers, I find out that most of them have held on to the Iraqi dinar for about 10 to 16 years, and they feel like this is never going to happen. I can imagine what that feels like. That's a long time to hold on to, hoping that this thing would happen. Or the other group of people that I run into of the naysayers are those people who have been burned or ripped off by a person or a group who promise them dates and rates that never happen. So, I can understand why they feel the way they do. Waiting this long or getting burned by somebody really hurts. It really affects the way you think about the investment, and that's too sad. It's sad to say. So I've read several articles of people who have been scammed, but these are the actions of people. I want you to understand. It has nothing to do with the currency. The currency is being used to commit scams. Now, I've talked about this before. So the currency itself is not a scam. People are using the currencies to commit scams, okay? So they've taken advantage of people, and they've taken advantage of this investment opportunity just to rip people off. And that's a shame, okay? Now, I've done my own research because you can't trust anything everybody says. Or let me reverse that. You can't trust anything anybody says. You have to do your own research. You can take everything with a grain of salt, but you're better off doing your own research. And I can tell you this, that most of the negative articles all make the same point. Again, I've brought this up before. The negative points are this. One, the Iraqi government is unstable. And two, the corrupt politicians. Now, these 2 points you can't really argue. They're legitimate points. But again, when we're talking about the revaluing of the currency or the reinstatement of the currency, these are a couple of the factors. But what they never tell anybody is what if. That is, what if the government becomes stable? What if the corruption is done with and these people start to become a trustworthy country? Okay, so that's what they're not addressing, in my opinion. So, but in this video, I want to point out again why buying the Iraqi dinar or the Vietnam dong is actually a low risk, high return possibility. So let's review the reasons, mainly the reasons of the Iraqi dinar are as low as they are right now, okay? So let's review that. First things first, this is just common sense. Let's just talk about the actual currencies themselves. The Iraqi dinar and the Vietnam dong are both legitimate currencies. What this means is you can actually purchase items with this currency. So the currency itself is real. But let's look at the other factors involving why the current rates of these currencies are down. Mainly, again, the Iraqi dinar, okay? Now, I've mentioned this before, but it's worth saying again. Iraq has the second largest oil reserves, but it is not allowed to sell the oil on the open market other than to help rebuild its country. This can only be done with the permission of the United Nations, okay? They're under sanctions. Remember, Iraq was in Chapter 7 bankruptcy since the late 1990s, and sanctions placed on the oil make it illegal for any other countries to purchase the oil from Iraq. And since Iraq could not sell its oil, this is one of the reasons that contribute to the low currency value. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Another reason for the low value is Kuwait has been arguing for a while now to keep Iraq in Chapter 7 due to the unresolved disputed areas, over the borders, missing persons, property, and other issues. So this was previously known as Article 58. Later, it was officially changed into the Constitution. It's known as Article 140. And many of us who have been paying attention know that Article 140 has been in the news a lot lately. This is a huge positive step towards the rate change, okay? So keep that in mind. The rate of the Iraqi dinar, unlike the Vietnam dong, is artificially held down. So if Iraq cannot trade or sell commodities, then it has no economy. And if it has no economy, this decreases the value of its currency. So again, keep that in mind when you're thinking about this investment, okay? You have to remember that under Saddam Hussein, Iraq accumulated a lot of debt. The country kept borrowing money with no way to pay it back. And this also was causing the interest rate to go up on its money, all right? So these are the factors that you have to take in consideration about where the currency is, how it got there, and where it's going from there, okay? So let's talk about the things that contributed to the decrease in the Iraqi dinar. Iraq has no purchasing power, no exports, huge trade deficits, and a ton of debt, which led to high unemployment. If you added all those factors up, and plus add in the fact that the United Nations sanctioned the dinar, which meant that the currency was not recognized internationally, all right? So if you think about all these things that contributed to the value of where the currency is now, you can understand how it got to as low as it is. Okay, so to fight off, you got to remember that to fight off the high inflation levels that Iraq was getting, Iraq was forced to add zeros to the dinar, okay? All these factors together contribute to the decrease in value of the Iraqi dinar. So keep that in mind. Because in 2010, things started to turn around, okay? What we did notice is since 2010, the inflation went from around 80% to it's currently right now at around 1.5%. That's a huge drop. The interest rates have come down as well from around 20% to I believe it's at around 3% right about now. And all those countries that Iraq owed money to have either forgiven up to 80% of the debt or 100% of the debt altogether. Okay, so these things add to the value of the currency. This is causing the value now to go back up. So I just want you to keep that in mind, okay? Also, in 2019, we have seen a lot of talk about the HCL law with every major oil company coming into Iraq hoping to make a deal to handle the oil production in Iraq. They are knocking on the doors. They are begging. Again, oil production in Iraq is going to only cause the currency to increase in value. Just keep that in mind, all right? Also, keep in mind now that Iraq is no longer in Chapter 7. Okay, so they're not in Chapter 7 anymore. And they're also almost a full member of the World Trade Organization. That has been expedited. Again, this does contribute to the increase of the Iraqi dinar, so keep that in mind. In 2019, we've noticed several visits by these organizations. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, as well as the World Bank and United Nations have all been to Iraq. So this could be nothing but great news. You got to keep in mind that the purpose of the visit to the IMF is so that they can establish an internationally traded currency. That's a big deal, okay? So stop listening to the naysayers and just apply common sense. If you look at all the different factors that caused the currency value to go down, you should be able to just apply common sense here and look and see that the opposite is now happening, and it can only cause the currency to go up, all right? So stop listening to the naysayers. This is a very low risk, high reward investment, okay? It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little time, but in the end of all this, you would definitely make a profit off this, okay? Please like or subscribe and hit the notification button. I do have a tax show coming up very quickly here that I think you all be interested in. Thank you and have a good day.